Hey, welcome everybody to another episode 1019, The Watch Commander. And man, we got a show for you tonight. I'm excited about this show. And here we are with Captain Mike. Mike, how you doing?
I am doing Bosco. Thank you for asking.
Bosco. I don't know if I've ever heard Bosco before. And welcome to our very special guest, retired LASD Captain Bob Rifkin. Bob, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm Bosco too.
You're Bosco too. Well, I guess I'm Bosco then.
You're Bosco 3.
As
Little
well.
Bosco.
Let's
You're
see.
little Bosco. I'll be
let's
tiny
see.
Bosco. And he's
GJ's
OG
here.
Bosco.
GJ, what's happening? Problem solver. Welcome. Look, does this name, does this ring a bell? Anybody? Justin Rifkin. Just a coincidence? So
Nope, he's my son.
welcome Justin to the show as well. Well, we have a look who's here. Steve Gould, Things Police See podcast. And if we're very fortunate, Mike Borman's going to be on that show.
Yeah, I'm trying to arrange a time in the schedule where we can hook up.
Yeah, it's the best war story show on the interweb, Things Police See podcast. So Steve's a good guy. We used to work backgrounds together. Now he's out in Massachusetts doing police work. That's Sergeant Steve Gould to you. Thank you. So, and I just want to make mention of everybody stop right now for a moment. Zippy. Zippy's here.
Hey, dudes.
Welcome, Zippy. And I think I did a bunch of computer stuff. I went through my computer. I took the whole thing apart, had some extra screws left over, but I fixed my sound, I believe. If for somebody, look at GJ's on it. Yeah, I had to play with a bunch of different settings on the computer and the soundboard and everything, and I think I got it right. So we're ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and let Captain Mike lead the way. And Mike, remember, we got that special little surprise that I'm at the ready anytime you say.
All right. Hey, Bob, I appreciate your coming on. I want to thank you for your time. And we're gonna try to make this so you don't regret any part of what happens tonight.
That's not going to happen.
Just see. we gotta tell them that, right? There has to be a disclaimer at the beginning of the show.
Yep,
No Bobs were harmed in the filming of this video.
No,
well, we talked a while. I've known Bob for I don't even remember
Me either.
a long frickin' time, and I kept talking to him about coming on the show, and every time I'd ask him, he'd go, "I don't know anything. I don't have any stories. I don't remember." You know, it's like, dude, what'd you do with 33 years of your life? You know, okay, there you go. But I think what I'd like to do is just start off. We know where you ended up. You're here, sadly, with us. But there had to have been a point in time in your life where you were looking around at the bare walls and trying to figure out what you're going to do with your time. So how did you decide that you were going to become tan and green?
First, I'd like to tell you that Justin Rifkin is watching, and he is LAPD.
What?
Yep.
God bless you, Justin. God bless you.
That poor kid.
Oh,
And my other son is a sheriff. LASD.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to cut in real quick, change the whole tenor of the show, but maybe Bob, I would like you to talk about. We're all very proud of Justin and Garrett, but Garrett's gone through something over the last several years that would have crushed other people and ended their careers. You mind if I talk about that for a minute?
No, go ahead. I could
why don't you do it for us? Yeah.
No.
From a dad's perspective.
From a dad's perspective, I got a call from Justin telling me that Garrett was involved in a motorcycle accident on his way to West Hollywood Station. And I told Cherry, and first I asked, is he alive? And he said, yes. told my wife, and we went down to Cedars, and he was seriously hurt. They ended up amputating his leg below the knee, and he is back on patrol at Santa Clarita Station. He went to what we call TAS, which is an officer safety course, and he went through that for like a month and got his footing, for the lack of a better word, to be in a radio car again. And he's working Santa Clarita with a prosthetic. So I'm very proud of him, and my wife is very proud of him. And
Well, you know what? We're all proud of him. And, if we haven't told him lately, I'll tell him again if he's out there. Ken, when this first happened, my first thought was he's done. His career's over. I have never heard or seen anyone coming back from losing a leg and staying on the department, let alone getting to be full duty working in a patrol car again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's his intestinal fortitude and probably a little bit to do with the way he was brought up. Not by Bob, but by Sherry. And
honestly, I give my wife all the credit.
I've heard of stories like that before in the military and some other stuff, but man, that the technology that's available today to allow that to happen, but the people that do it, that have the fortitude and the strength and the courage to say, I'm going to go back to patrol, that is badass. That's just badass. There's no other way to put it.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, he's the only one with a prosthetic on patrol in LA County.
Yo, Dale, good to hear from you.
Hey, Dale.
Hi, Dale.
For anybody that's listening, Dale has a book out. Look it up on Amazon. Damage Control by Dale Hedges. Great book. Book. Bob, we got sidetracked because of your awesome kids. Why don't you tell us about how you decided to get into the law enforcement game?
How'd you do it?
All right. Let's talk.
Hey, how did Sherry get you ready for it?
Sherry wasn't even around.
What year?
I got out of high school, went to EMT school, and from EMT school, I went to paramedic school.
Bob wanted to be a fireman.
In 1972, I was a paramedic in the city of Glendale, and we'd get up all hours of the night, and a couple times I was on the street taking care of someone. I look up, and there's Glendale police in their uniforms and wearing black gloves and looking real good. And I said to myself, you want to be a policeman. So I wanted to take my paramedic skills and go to LASD because they have sheriff paramedics. Little did I know that they're animals, and I'm far from an animal. So once I got on, I instead of going to the ESG, I went the route of gangs. First, I got on the department, and I worked men's central jail for 9 months. And then I went out to Lenox Station. And the reason I got out so quick is they were filling up the South Central stations, Firestone, Linwood, Lenox, for the Olympics coming up. And went out to Lenox Station and got off training and did patrol, had some trainees. One of my trainees I'll tell you about went to prison. Not anything I did, but he was involved in trafficking cocaine. And he ended up going to prison. And he was an old New York guy and spoke the language. And he was good training. This was when he got off training. Besides that, I worked some specialized units out of Lenox. And then the sergeant came over, and he just came from Carson Station, and went to the watch sergeant and asked, who does he think would do a good job in gangs, because he wants some new blood in there. So the sergeant, who happened to be one of my DIs, said Rifkin. So that's how I got to gangs. There was no test, there was no interview, there was no resume. It was, he's a good guy, let's take him.
You
And
qualify.
we went out, we rode together, and first night out, we got a gangster with a gun. So he took me over, and for the next several years, probably 4 or 5, I stayed at Lennox OSS. I promoted to sergeant and went to custody in South Division. And I got kicked out of custody South because I told Lieutenant something that he didn't want to hear. And I went to North then. And from North, I went to Linwood. And I stayed at Linwood during the Rodney King riots. And had some fun during the Rodney King riots. And from there, I went to Firestone as a sergeant. And I stayed at Firestone for a while. And then they merged to Sentry Station. So Linwood and Firestone became a Sentry Station. So I worked there for a while, and I was on the bicycle team and had about 7 deputies working for me. And Mike came along and asked me to go to a task force to investigate some map that was found during a search warrant. And Mike, you could chime in there.
Yeah, that was great.
What ranks in the years are we talking about right now?
Bob, are you still a sergeant then?
Yes.
Okay.
I was sergeant at Sentry, and Mike came over. It was, I don't know, 92 or 30.
2-ish. Yeah, 92-ish. I was a sergeant too, and I had been picked to go downtown and work for an assistant sheriff at the time, and doing odd jobs and kind of cool department related stuff. And one day, I guess Sherman Block heard that Maxine Waters and Danny Bakewell, those of you in LA who know these characters know what I'm talking about. They were making a big deal about this Iran-Contra guns for drugs allegations that were coming out after the Reagan years. And the sheriff got tired of hearing about it. And I guess the Fed didn't really want to pick it up, probably because they were involved. But our task was to go and investigate everything that we could and find out if what they were saying was true. And what they were saying was that to fund the Contras in the firearms and the guns and the ammunition that they were sending them, the federal government, the CIA, and the DIA were funneling hard drugs, into the black neighborhoods of South Los Angeles, and basically poisoning all the black people with drugs to fund Ronald Reagan's ill-conceived, guns for drugs to the Contras kind of thing. So we created a little task force, and Bob I think he was one of my first choices because I knew where he came from. And man, I'll tell you what, we started with nothing. In fact, there was who was the reporter? Do you remember Bob? Gary something from the
Mercury Press.
From the B up north. He wrote this article or series of articles claiming that this is what was going on, and they just took what he said as truth, and we had to go and see what we could do one way or the other. And man, I'll tell you what, we ended up, well, like Bob said, ended up at, cold calling the CIA headquarters, and we tracked down a couple of DIA informants who had been flying his plane back and forth with the Contras, and Bob and his partner at the time, I forget who we were with, but they went out.
Silverspur.
Who was it?
Dave Silverspur.
Oh, Silverspar, the Comma Meister. Anyways, with Dave, and they actually located this map that everybody was talking about, and it didn't show that it was cocaine funneling in. It was guns, firearms, and money. There was no drugs at all. And I mean, by the time we were done, we had a 1,500-page report, and we plopped it on the sheriff's desk, and they wanted an executive summary, and it was like a 64-page executive summary. So the sheriff has this big this press conference in the headquarters building, and Maxine's there, and Danny Bakewell's there, and the sheriff and his people, they go through this whole thing, debunking everything. Maxine Waters takes the 64-page summary, doesn't crack it open, walks right out in front of the building, in front of the press, and raises it in the air. And she goes, "This report raises more questions than it answers." and Dan Cruz was one of the guys there, and he was standing right next to her when she's on the air, and he goes, "Read the report." And she said it again. "This raises more questions than answers." And he goes, "Have you read the report?" Right on the news. And she kind of just shut up, and her and Danny got in a car and drove away. But
we never heard anything else about it.
Never heard another word. In fact, we even got kudos from LAPD Daryl Gates at the time, and a couple of congressmen or senators were like, "Thanks for taking care of that bullshit for us." So it was a really good investigation with a really good team, and that was that.
Speaking of Daryl Gates, Ken, he liked OSS, and I was at Lennox OSS, and he had Southeast Crash come ride with us, and the guys were great. Started at Crash and went to 77th, and it was a lot of fun because we were right across the street from Southeast, and Firestone was right across the street from 77th. So it was a lot of fun together. But he was really good, and then when I promoted up and came back to OSS, a lieutenant, I worked with Deputy Chief. Got his name, but he was fantastic from LAPD. I can't think of his name.
Can't think. Was South Bureau?
Yeah.
Matthew Hunt.
No.
Well, no, it was a deputy chief. I don't remember some of them. No,
I can't think of his name.
I'm blank.
Anyways, after I went to that task force, I ended up promoting with Mike's help to lieutenant, and I went back to custody for only 5-6 months, and then went to Palmdale Station as a watch commander, and I stayed there for a couple of years, and then went to OSS, back to OSS as a lieutenant, and then went to become a chief's aide for Chief Rambo, and there I made captain and went back to OSS. For 14 years, I was lieutenant. I kind of had a reputation of telling people the truth. As a matter of fact, a commander once told our chief, "If you don't want to know the truth, don't ask Rifkin." I mean, that was my reputation, and it helped me.
Cool.
That's cool.
Well, you know what, Bob? With this entire career steeped in ganghood and chasing gangsters and all the danger and violence. Did you ever have a scary moment with any of the gangsters that you dealt with yourself?
I won't say scary. A lot of ruthless stuff I saw. And I'm talking ruthless that the gangsters did.
Well, yeah, of course.
And these two gangsters went into an apartment building and shot a informant in the head with a shotgun. And her whole head was gone, but the brain was sitting on the edge of the couch. It was whole, sitting on the edge of the couch. And we had no idea who did it. And homicide would come to gangs, and they still come to gangs to get the street information of what's going on and to serve their warrants and so on and so forth. We had no idea. And then we heard nobody did it. Well, somebody did it. Her brain was sitting on the couch. And a couple of informers said, no, nobody did it. So we learned nobody was a gangster. And that took a lot of time. So we finally found them, him and the guy that, this partner, Ben Dog. We had a death penalty case, and they're still in prison. They didn't get the death penalty, but they're still in prison for life, which brings up another point. When I was on patrol with a trainee, I took a deathbed confession. And as you know, that's admissible in court. I happened to be on my honeymoon with my wife now, and homicide was very upset. They were going to fly me off of the cruise ship to come testify. And I said, you're not going to get me to do that. They end up releasing the guy, which they weren't very happy about. So they rearrested him, and I was done with my honeymoon and came and testified. But that's case law now.
Okay.
I was a paramedic, and I used some of the paramedic stuff in a trial.
Okay. Two serious questions. First of all, Zippy wants to know who the worst gang was that you ran
Worst
into.
gang.
It's hard to say. Raymond's were very bad. Hoover's were very bad. And Florencia and Florence were very bad.
Yeah. Out of all that, Florencia is probably the largest, right? I mean,
Yeah. Largest Hispanic gang, probably the largest period.
yeah.
And so it's hard to say who was the worst. They were all mean and conniving. And I used to pride myself in being able to get informants in the game. The Hispanic games were a little harder, but I had the blacks, they weren't very hard.
And the other question is, what happened to her brain?
The coroner scooped it up, took
So
it with the rest of the body without a hit.
So it wasn't like watching TV or anything?
You know, the TV was on. It might have been.
I'm telling you. Hold on. The Price is Right is almost over. Hey, well, you know, in all of that career, did you ever get shot at?
Plenty of times. The one I could remember off the top of my head is during the Rodney King riots. A liquor store was burning down. It was in our area, right across the street from the projects, and they were shooting from the projects and I remember them saying, "Sarge, get down!" And I used to tell them, once you hear the bullet, it's too late to get down.
Right. Too late to think about it.
Exactly.
Cool. Did you ever shoot at anybody or ever hit anybody?
I've shot at a few people. And, yes.
I have a
Yes,
feeling all these answers are going to be yes.
No, you
Yeah,
never
right?
know. Did you hit anybody?
No.
So you're kind of like me. You shoot and miss. Is that what's going on?
Well, I hit a car.
Oh, that counts. Is it a gangster's car?
Oh, yeah.
That counts. Yeah.
Did you ever run over a bad guy with a trash truck? He's thinking
I've run
about it.
over-
He's
I've
thinking
ran-
about it.
I don't-
Wait a minute. Was it a full
ran-
trash truck?
I ran-
A big one or small one?
Did you do that, Ken?
No, but I've seen a lot of movies, and you just remind me of somebody that's been in everything. And
Oh.
so I thought I'd ask.
No, I could. We had we didn't have patrol radios at the time, and we were chasing a gangster on a moped, two of them, and they pulled up in a driveway and got ready to jump off, and I happened to hit them at the same time, and they rolled and ran. So I ran after them. No radio, mind you. And went over backyards and ended up catching one of them and told the people to call 911 because we didn't have any communication.
Yeah, those were crazy times back then. I've talked about this before. I came on and I went to patrol in September of '81, and we're just getting rid of the Novas. We had the new Malibus, and the radios were like prehistoric. They had like 4 channels, and when you got out of the car and ran, that was it. They tell you to turn on the PA system, so you could hear it, but you were incommunicado, man.
Incommunicado.
Randy Stover, Bob, don't forget about us teaching in Cambodia.
Yeah, that's another highlight. When I was a lieutenant, since they knew I worked gangs, I went with another lieutenant and a sergeant that worked for me to Cambodia to teach them about street gangs. Why? Because Cambodian gangs were in the U.S. And when they'd come back to Cambodia, they needed to deal with them. So we went there and they treated us like kings in Cambodia. And we had a good time.
Do they have trash trucks over there?
In Cambodia.
Oh, man.
Fifth man's your academy pal.
Good to see Bob.
I don't know who Fifth Man is.
Well, he's the fifth man.
Exactly.
Count.
I don't know.
He probably saved my ass sometime.
Somewhere along the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I kind of want to talk about the elephant in the room, and I think it'd be a good time to do it. There was a period of time, I don't remember if I was still on the department, but I had to have been because I saw a teletype that said Captain Robert Rifkin was supposed to go to the hospital to have some kind of routine. It was a knee surgery maybe or something like that.
Back surgery.
Back surgery. And he was found dead and unresponsive on the floor of his hospital room. And I remember looking at it and I was like, Bob, what happened? Bob's dead, right?
Bob's dead.
Months later, I'm on Facebook, and there's Bob talking shit on Facebook, and I'm like, is Bob dead or is Bob, on Facebook? So I got hold of him, and he told me this story, and Bob can probably relate it a little better than I can, but I do know that he was out on the floor. They didn't know how long he'd been out, and they got him ticking again, and they strapped a DNR on his wrist, which is a do not resuscitate.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember how long he was out. He can tell us that, but he wakes up one night and he's like, "What the hell is this? What am I?
Put that on my arm.
Who put that shit on my arm?"
So I
But-
find out it was my wife because we have that in our will. Don't resuscitate if we're terminal.
Yeah.
Well,
Wasn't it? Didn't they say you had like a 5% chance of surviving or
Yeah.
something?
yeah.
Can you, man? I know where Garrett got his. I ain't quitting crap, but tell us a
He
story about
was
that, Bob.
Garrett was in the academy for LASD when I couldn't take the pain in my back anymore. And I went to Cedars and had back surgery. And I made it through surgery and made it to a room. And they gave me a lot of pain medicine. And somehow they gave me so much that I knew I couldn't breathe. They stopped my breathing from the pain medicine. So I tried to get up and ended up on the floor, coded. So all the nurses came and they started CPR and brought me up to ICU at Cedars, which is pretty big. And I was, they induced a coma and cooled my body down to see if I'd come back, because what I had was PEA, which is your electrical current doesn't match your heart pumping. So your heart basically was still. And they brought me out of it, and I didn't come out of it. I was still unconscious. So I think it was 5 days or something. My wife knows better because it was very hard on her. And then I was in the hospital for 4.5 months trying to learn everything. I had physical therapy, I had mental therapy, I had speech therapy, I had all the therapies. I had a couple strokes when I was I didn't have oxygen for so long. One was affecting my speech, and the other one was by my eye. Anyways, 4.5 months, and I learned it and finally got out. And I had to go to speech therapy and physical therapy and so on and so forth. But I made it. Here I am talking to you two.
Okay, and as a result, you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, Bob went from a gang captain to just a gang.
You got to admit, that's a pretty good picture.
Yeah. You know what? That kind of looks like my gun, though, in my house. I don't understand what's going on there, but
No, it wasn't. It was my gun in your house.
all right. Well, okay.
Bottom picture is I was a captain at OSS when Garrett got in an accident, and that's him in front in a wheelchair. And we got invited to Dodger Stadium to get recognized for him doing what he did. And that was Michael Moore standing there, and one of our chiefs who took my job at OSS.
Oh,
Oh, when I came back from being in the hospital so long, I did make it back to work. That's where Garrett got it. I made it back to work, and they had me at OSS for a while, and I just couldn't multitask any longer. So they moved me out and moved Rivera in there and moved me to the assistant sheriff's office to be his butt boy. I mean, to do things. Here I am, then I retired.
yeah. How about the picture on top of that? Why don't you give those guys some cred, whoever they are?
Yeah, that's OSS lieutenants. Drew Basie, Mike Ford was the captain. Ralph Ornelas was a lieutenant. Myself, and George Sikorsky was a lieutenant.
Cool.
And the sign that's my background was the OSS sign. It's LASD, and in the red that's in it, going up on an angle, says OSS in the red, and behind my back is gangs. It's not the logo anymore.
Why don't you move over a little bit? Let us see that.
Just move out of the picture for a second. There you go.
LASD gangs. Yeah.
All right, then.
That's pretty cool.
Can you see the OSS in the red?
No, I can't.
I see a minus sign.
Minus and plus sign. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's the
oh, now I see it. Yeah, okay. The red is OSS. Got it.
S, and the O is there.
Yeah, I see it. So that's kind of written in gang script.
Exactly.
Can you make it out? Yeah, I see it. The O with S and S. Yep.
That's cool.
Groovy. So you must be very proud of your career there, brother.
Yeah. So when Sheriff McBuckles, what was his real name? McDonald from LAPD came over, and he didn't want anything of violence on our logos, and I think that had a knife in it or something. Yeah. See the knife?
Oh, it looks like a Bic lighter to me.
Exactly. Well, it's a knife.
Oh,
so that couldn't be our logo anymore. And the guys gave it to me when I retired.
You know, the McBuckles period of time was quite an interesting one. You know, it's the Titanic is sinking and he's rearranging the deck chairs with buckles on your belts and fake knives on a fake patch. You know, it's no wonder he failed miserably. It's just, you know, his priorities were pretty weak.
You know, that's how he got the McBuckles name.
Mm-hmm.
I've said it before, and I'll say it again. LAPD guys, they go to other departments as chief, and the majority of them just aren't popular.
They fuck it up. Sorry, Ken, but a lot of the go ahead.
Or
Bob.
when they come from Long Beach to the insurance department, they don't do very well either.
Nope.
Yeah, you know they've got this you know, my way or the highway kind of thinking, and I'm sure it's ingrained in them from the first day they go to the academy. But you know, there are other ways to do the job and to lead people, and both those guys, McBuckles and Lunatic, are all they're cut from the same cloth. You know, they just don't understand that the sheriff's philosophy and the way of doing things, and they're destroying the department.
Something else I'm really proud of, when I was at OSS as a detective, I wrote a 21 location search warrant, the largest at that time that the sheriff's department wrote. And we got a lot of guns and a lot of people in custody. And it was a logistical nightmare to make sure all the locations were right and all the descriptions matched and all the names were in the search warrant. It was a lot of work.
It's pretty good.
Was it successful? Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Got guns and got gangsters. What more is there? And they went to prison.
That's it.
I like Jeff's comment. Bob was a warrior for 5 months in Cedars-Sinai ICU. Never a question on his recovery. Most would not survive what Bob went through. He's a true inspiration. 5 months, man.
Yeah. I've told him that several times. You know, we joke about it, but he's a good sport about it too. But you know, in fact, we came up with a new answering machine thing for him. The phone would ring and go beep. If Bob has died, press 1. if Bob is in intensive care, press 2. If Bob is in a coma, press 3. I mean, what he went through, I wouldn't wish on anybody. And here he is today, still semi-conscious and alert, right?
Yep, he's still
semi-conscious and semi-alert.
Yeah.
And I want to bring attention to the graphic at the bottom of the screen. The reports of my death have been greatly exaggerated, attributed to Mark Twain. But we can go ahead and let Bob use that as well. So, not
Yeah.
true.
Hey, well, you know what, Bob? After all these years and all the chiefs and all the sheriffs coming and going and what you've been through, here we are in 2024. What kind of advice would you give people who are considering a job in law enforcement today?
Well, I will tell you the same thing that I told all the deputies who worked for me and my sons. Know the manual, front and back and sideways, and know the law. The more you know, the less they can screw with you. They'll try, but they don't win. You know the policy, you got to know the manual, and you got to know the law. And I used to pride myself in knowing the law. I don't know anything now.
Did you used to subscribe to the source book like a lot of us did back in the day?
Yep, most definitely.
Yeah, that thing.
I've even called them for legal advice.
Did you guys have that over there, Ken? The legal source book?
Probably, but I don't remember subscribing to anything about that because I don't remember. I don't know if I knew the law.
Hey, dude, I was just high then. I don't remember. Yeah, you're a great representative of the fine force over there, pal.
And you have to be able to fight and know what you're fighting about. You can't take no for an answer, especially from the DAs. But you have to know what you're talking about. And if they don't agree with you, you go to the next step up. And I would do that a lot. Sometimes they win, sometimes they win. As I went up in rank, it became easier. It's pretty hard as a deputy.
Yeah. Well, I can see where you got your reputation from, pal.
There's some sergeants and there's supervisors like that where their troops, when they get some supervisors, they go, "Oh gosh, this guy, such a limp noodle." And then there's guys like Bob. They go, "Yeah." Then because they know the supervisor like Bob is going to back them. And I think that you probably had that reputation. He reminds me of an assistant chief who went to the airport. I can't remember his name, or port or something like that. He was an old SWAT guy. Can't remember his name, but he used to have that same reputation. Very military looking, military bearing, and everybody loved him. He was a badass. If I remember his name, I will tell you.
I think
I've had my run-ins with people, and they didn't like me for it, but they promoted me.
There it is. Mike Hillman.
There it is.
Mike Hillman.
That's it. Thank you.
Dude, he was mixing it up. I think he was a deputy chief and problem solver. If you know this too, but he was at the Academy Awards and he was mixing it up with people who were getting rowdy, and he got in trouble for that. But he was command staff and he wasn't taking crap off of people, man.
And he really liked OSS. I mean, he helped us do a lot. We would go to his gang meetings.
Yeah, he was cool. I ran into him when he had already retired from LAPD, and he was, so this was in the maybe 2015 or something like that. He was at a Starbucks in Ontario for an event with some of his troopers, and I think it was Port. But anyways, the guy had to be I'm thinking maybe he was in his 60s, maybe something like that. Looked absolutely badass. His uniform was sharp. He looked like somebody, he could get people off the street and say, "Follow me," and everybody would just jump up and go because he had that bearing about him. Just really cool guy.
And he had a lot of stripes on his arm.
Yeah. Pretty cool guy. So,
can you ask Problem Solver? Is he LAPD?
Problem Solver. We have a question for you, man. I'm not sure what department he's with, or if he was retired, but he might have gone.
Hillman But then again, he has 212 after his name, which
Yes.
is a sheriff's department clearance. So go figure.
Problem solver has gone silent now.
I think from prior shows, I get a sense that he's sheriff's or retired.
No.
Yeah, 212 is a pretty good clearance, right?
Yeah.
This is quite the first. We've never, I don't think in any interviews I've done, we've interviewed a dead guy. So that's pretty cool.
You know, we promised when we started this show that we were going to have things that were a little unique and out of the ordinary. And top this, pal. You know, what else you got?
Top
I gotta
this.
say this, and it might be from dying, it might not be, but I have no regrets in my life. I did everything I wanted to do. I married my wife, and she's fantastic. I have 2 great sons and daughter-in-laws. I have no regrets. I can't do anything different.
Well, did you walk toward the light or anything like that? Any angels singing around you?
Nope.
Not a damn thing, huh?
No, I think all that's bullshit.
Yeah.
So you just woke up and kind of going, what's everybody staring at me for?
Well, I kind of figured I wasn't doing good.
Were
but if you're-
people,
Go ahead.
when you woke up, were people like crying or were they going, shoot? Well, how did they react?
Son of a bitch. Yeah.
I remember that, well, she told me afterwards, my wife and some of her friends said that they'd show their breasts if I'd wake up.
That snaps you right out of it. Huh?
And they woke up.
Now, what year did this happen?
I was a captain, so I retired in 2014. So I don't know.
So you're pretty much past the danger zone then, I imagine.
Oh yeah,
And that was a glitch with some medication, you said?
yeah. They gave me too much pain medication, and obviously I stopped breathing and did CPR, and here I am.
Well, that's
Wow.
all.
When the nurses had me in a wheelchair walking around identifying things, I said, take me to the nurses that did the CPR. And they did. And I asked them if they're the ones that did CPR on me. And I really thanked them and gave them a hug in my wheelchair. Because CPR works.
Didn't you say that you went back there and the nurses
Yes.
were all emotional? Tell us about that.
My wife's uncle got cancer, and his last days he was in ICU at Sears. And I walked up there with my wife, and they recognized me. And one of them started crying and he said that people don't normally make it out of here. And she took a Polaroid picture of me and put it up on their board. It was quite emotional.
I think Bob comes across as one of those stubborn people where he's like dead and God's going, all right, let's go. He's like, no,
Not yet, pal.
not yet. Because
Yeah.
you got
Somebody
to,
once told me that God has other plans for me.
yeah. Most people, their arms are too short to box with God, but not Bob Rifkin. It's like,
He always punches up.
there you go. There you go.
Punching up.
That's pretty cool. It's a great
That's
story.
something I would do throughout my career and in high school. I always defend the little person getting picked on, even though I was a little person.
I was going to say you're defending yourself, then, right?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
How did you get such a gargantuan son in Garrett?
I have no idea.
That kid's a throwback, man.
Probably I had a brother who was 6 feet, and my wife has a brother who's 6'1",
Yeah.
and her dad was tall. So our genes, probably.
Yeah, cool. You got any other insight or words of
Well,
love that you want to give us? Do you have some notes there, Kamala?
Yeah. Nope. I think we talked to them all. What I will end with is you have to live in the moment. Don't dwell on the past. Live in the moment. Live what's going on now. You can't control what already happened, and you really can't control the future. You have to live what's going on now.
Sage
Very
advice. Yeah.
Sage advice.
Sage advice.
It's good.
So,
man.
what trips have you been on lately? Anything fun?
Yeah, we went to a Viking cruise recently.
With real Vikings, or
Yeah. Did you wear the Viking headgear?
did you do
The
that?
metal hat?
Well, I did work Linwood, and their logo is the Viking. But then again, I worked Firestone, and the logo is the pirate. Then again, I worked Lennox, and their logo was Grim Reaper. So I don't know.
What's your point?
His point is Zippy loves him.
Oh, yeah. Zippy said she loves you, Bob.
Love you too, Zippy.
Look who's visiting.
Oh, Sonia.
Sonia's here.
Hi, Sonia.
I shared a picture of you and Sonia to Ken, but I guess he didn't see fit to put it.
You
up
didn't
on
put
the
it on Facebook?
screen.
Oh, that's another thing. I'm not on Facebook. I'm not on Twitter. I'm not on Instagram. I'm on nothing. I'm not on Truth
Why is that?
because I got tired of people arguing.
Yeah, but people want to hear from Bob, man.
Bob. I didn't know
that's
you
why
want
we're
me to
doing
put
this.
that. I didn't know you wanted me to put that picture up.
Well, it's got him and his buddy Mike Fujika.
Mike
And,
Fugino.
Yeah, him. Whatever the name is.
Let
Mike
me see if I can grab it, because I gotta do all kinds of trick stuff because you texted it to me, so
Do it magically.
I have to figure out how I can get that, do that. You guys keep talking amongst yourselves, and I will be there in a second.
Yeah.
Mike, you're leaving Friday for a trip.
Yeah, we're Zippy talked me into going to Boston for 8 days. We're going to go see Plymouth Rock, which I understand is now about a pebble, and Hyannis and Martha's Vineyard, and historical Boston. That's pretty cool. So I'm looking forward to that. Then what? Then we come back up to the lake. So a lot going on. My thing is you got to stay busy. You got to stay busy. You got to stay relevant. You have to know technology. You have to. Well, that's why you and I have been all over the world with that PI business. We're chasing people around.
And I'd like to give you credit right now that when I retired, I didn't know a lot anymore, and I needed to get back into doing things and people, and Mike helped me.
Well, you were helping me too. I mean, that trip to Panama was
fantastic.
was quite a trip. Ken, we had a case where this lady was going through an ugly divorce, and her husband and her are from South Africa. And about 10 years ago, the husband hid a bunch of gold coins in a safe deposit box in Panama City, and she hired us to go over there and get it. It's all legal, folks. It was all done legal, but it was I was asking people, hey, what do you got? What do you think about coming to Panama? And help recover some gold. And they're all like, I don't want to end up hanging from the side of a bridge. I'm not going to go down there. So Bob's like, yeah, I got nothing going on this week. Let's go. We hook up with this PI in Panama, and we didn't know anything about him. So we decided we were going to have a safe word. If we got in the car and he was going to jack us or something, we're going to use a safe word. We're going to kill him.
Just like that.
Yeah. So
I'm like that.
I'm like, man, I forgot the safe word. Don't kill the guy. But he was actually pretty cool. He was retired military. There it is. Bob, when did this happen?
When did this occur?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, even Sonia's taller than you. What's going on with that?
I think it was this month. But I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah. We're thinking about having Sonia come on the show. I got to talk to her about it because she's got some pretty good insights into what's going on with the world today in law enforcement. Oh, okay, GJ. Oh, say, governor. But
It's like that.
that's probably the wrong accent.
I was gonna say.
I
Mike's
don't
pretty
think
slick.
that won't get any votes, would it?
No.
Yeah.
There's the
He's
photo.
talking about when you go to Boston.
Oh, I'll do that. Hey, governor.
Governor.
Pip, pip, jolly right. But, so anyway, just to finish that story, the lady, we went to the safe deposit box, 125 pounds of gold.
Golly.
125 pounds. This little guy that opened the box up, he was trying to carry it, and he was like dragging it on the floor. So I helped him pick it up. Man, we cracked that sucker open, and I was just like, this gold weighs more than my wife, and but I wouldn't even trade her for that. But it was a pretty good deal. We ended up getting it shipped back in the country, and it was a little disconcerting because the name of the company that came to pick up the gold, they showed up in a pickup truck with a safe on the back of the Toyota pickup truck, and that was it. And they had some sawed-off shotguns and stuff, and the name of the company was Los Benditos. And,
Los Benditos.
we're like, we're supposed to give 125 pounds of gold to Los Benditos? Oh yeah, it's okay. They're okay.
You can trust us.
Yeah, you trust us. It made it all the way back to the United States, man. So it was a good trip. We were ordering McDonald's in Spanish, and
And
really,
this was during the formula shutdown.
Mhm.
All the factories weren't producing formula. And I had my son had an infant that needed formula, and the PI in Panama helped us get formula in Panama because there wasn't any in United States.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We went to the store and looked, and everything's labeled right differently. And I had to FaceTime a buddy who speaks Spanish and show him the can. Hey, is this the right stuff, or are we going to serve the kid motor oil? And he goes, no, that's the good stuff. Get that. But we took the only 2 cans they had, and this PI, man, God love him. I think he smuggled a whole bunch of it over to Bob in the U.S. So thank you to him.
He came out here and brought a whole lot of formula. There's a comment there from Jeff Lemon saying, vote Bob Rifkin for mayor of Freedom Cove. Freedom Cove was up at Bass Lake, and there was a little cove up there, and we called it Freedom Cove because people jumped in naked. Not me, of course.
Was that Willow Cove today? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Freedom Cove.
Well, Willow Cove back in the 60s is where the Hells Angels would all come, and they'd party up there for a couple of weeks and terrorize the locals. In fact, Zippy and her dad went back there on a canoe one time, and the Hells Angels started throwing rocks at them to make them go away.
We have a special.
We have
a special thing here. Hang on, everybody. There you go. Oh man, that is so nice.
Wow. Well, that's a fake name. JoJo was the name of their doodle something. What is she? What is she? A doodle oodle?
Bernadoodle.
Bernadoodle.
East Mountain Dog and part poodle.
Well, hi, JoJo. Glad that you got a chance to chime in.
Hi, JoJo, if that's your real name.
Yeah, no, it's not JoJo.
That's your real name.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Oh, and by the way, if you're going to order a Big Mac and number 1 and a Diet Coke in Panama, all you have to do is say, yo quiero número 1, por favor.
And
Look
he speaks Spanish.
And I don't
It's
speak
amazing.
Spanish. Bob ordered something else. And I don't know what the hell was going on with him, but it was kind of scary.
You
But it
came
was
here
fun.
to meet Bob, and you learned Spanish.
Gee,
It's what we do. It's what we do.
it's how we roll.
That's right.
Anyway, with Mike, we go to Las Vegas and go to shows, and we just saw a magic show that was fantastic. Saw concerts out there, and he's been a great friend.
Living the dream. Yeah, and it's kind of sad though, like how the mighty have fallen. I'd go over there with some buddies. We'd go to strip clubs. We'd stay up all night. We'd be gambling and drinking and doing all this crazy stuff. And we go to a magic show and in bed by 9:00 now. It's just like,
And we're tired.
and we're tired. And 9:00 is like an hour too late. So, but we had to stay up and see the show.
Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad you stay up late for this show. Both of you guys are just inspirational to me at my age as well. So I
Isn't it?
appreciate
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. Good time had by all.
Oh man. Well, this has been a good time.
Yeah.
I think,
Any questions for Bob before we go? Anybody?
anybody have questions for Bob? We already know that he does not remember not being here, and he does not remember no light, no nothing. So there's really nothing we have about that. But
Bob doesn't remember a lot, so don't ask about that.
gangsters. Hey, Bob, let me ask you this: was working gangs just like the movie Colors?
We helped in the movie Colors,
Ah,
and
Yeah.
they gave us free tickets for the whole bureau to go see the movie Colors.
wow.
And some guys were in it. I wasn't,
Yeah, Roy Nunez from Firestone
Right.
OSS was in it.
but I was on cops at OSS. This was back in when cocaine first hit the streets, and all the different departments were they came to LA to ride with us to learn about cocaine, and they had a photographer taking pictures on one ride along, and he sold them to Soldier of Fortune. And on the cover of Soldier of Fortune had my partner with his hand open with a bunch of rock cocaine in it.
So this is when rock came out, right? Not just cocaine.
Right, rock.
Yeah, like 81, 82, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
82, 83, yeah.
I was watching that movie, and there was a part of the movie was when I think it was a black gangster went to do a drive-by at a house, and the Mexican gangster came outside of his house, and they both had like automatic machine guns, and they started at the ground, and they went ta 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 on the grass, ta 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 ta, and then they both killed each other just like that. That was real, right? I mean, I've been to a lot of gang shootings, and I just don't remember that happening.
Let me tell you something about gangs. First, they outgun us big time. And the only reason, in my opinion, that we win is they're stupid. That's the only reason.
That sounds logical. I mean, there's really no follow-up to that particular statement.
No, how do you deal with that? No, we've always thought that, man. It's there. We catch the dumb ones, and
Right.
there's a lot of them.
Yeah. I got to answer this question. Juno, I think Gould's gaining ground. I think they stopped doing that, but they are on Instagram under a different name. You might check with Steve at his Things Police Instagram and find out if they're rebranded or if they're still doing that. Sorry about that, guys. Just had to answer that question.
Something that I always preach, and I still believe in it, is I would hear so many times that you can't arrest yourself out of this problem. And I disagree. That's the only way we can solve this problem.
Yeah, me too.
We arrest ourselves and we get filed and we put them in prison. But with a DA that doesn't file crap, you have a hard time doing that. And this crap about touchy-feely stuff to help the gangsters, you're not helping the gangster. This midnight basketball doesn't help the gangsters. It helps you feel better. It helps politicians feel better. Working gangs, all that crap doesn't work. Putting them in prison works.
Yeah, I think we might get lucky here in November and might get rid of the knucklehead that's the DA now. We'll have to wait and see.
You know, he's been pretty silent, but I've seen little comments and stuff that he's polling really bad. Anything on that?
He polls bad, but you got to remember that he's hooked up to the Democratic machine. And if they show up in numbers, which they will, because it's also a Trump election, everybody and his brother and his dead brother are going to come out and vote to try to vote down Trump. So, if you've got people who just do the party line, and even though it's supposed to be, a nonpartisan, everybody knows he's a liberal Democrat, and if they all come out and vote for him, man, the other guy needs to have all of his supporters come out and vote too. It's going to be ugly. Yeah.
I told Mike this. I'll tell the rest of the people watching, and you, Ken, that I saw the movie Reagan today, and it was absolutely fantastic. And there's a lot of parallels to what's happening now with Trump. So if you haven't seen it, I would encourage you to see it.
They had who's the star of that movie? Is it Dennis Quaid? Is that
Quaid? Yes.
They had him on a I forget what program it was. It was on YouTube. But anyways, he was saying that they were trying to block the trailer to that movie because they said the movie was trying to influence the campaign today. This was about Reagan in the 80s.
Yeah, and don't
trying to block it.
Anything you hear from the press. This crap with Rotten Tomatoes, they're all in bed together. Go see the movie.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
So, well, very good.
Too.
What do you think, guys?
I think Bob hit a home run. Bob. Now, can he round the bases? I don't know.
Well, hopefully we made it over 7 watchers.
Right.
He's a Rifkin, so there's no doubt. I just barely met you, Bob, but I have a feeling that you're going to go well into your 90s and you're going to slide in all scruffy and dirty and just slide into home base.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Well, real good, guys. We appreciate you. Do not forget, please, to subscribe. On my channel, and Mike's nipping at my heels. At my channel, we've got a little over 1,000 subscribers, and I just got notification. Now, hold on. I just got notification that I made 69 cents.
Ouch.
69 because of subscribers.
I get 23. Bob gets 23. You know what? Hey, but aren't we linked somehow? So people have to know to subscribe to my channel separately from you as well. Otherwise, you'll keep going up, and I won't get jack diddly out of it.
That's right. And you won't get that 69 cents.
I want that 69 cents.
It might be up to 83 cents, I think, today. But Mike is right, you guys. If you're subscribed to the Police Applicant Podcast YouTube channel, also go to the 1019 Watch Commander channel. You can subscribe there as well. Let's get Mike that 83 cents. Come on.
Please. A chicken in every pot.
And Ken, if I haven't said it, I'm proud of you for being the technical advisor on this.
I'm trying. I try my best. Every once in a blue moon, we become human in here, and it doesn't work out quite well. But I think we've got most of the stuff ironed out here, man. I think we're doing pretty good.
Now that you turn the sound up, it's fantastic.
Thank you. I didn't know. I learned something new this week, and I'm glad it's working. I was going to, Kevin Kazan. I didn't get to say hi to him. I don't remember you saying early hi, Kevin, but Kevin's here. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you again. Bob, after we sign off, hang out there. Don't leave just yet. And we'll be back next week. All right. Thanks, guys.